Are fairies real? Readers just might find that out in the new book by Kim Michelle Gerber. It's titled Elaina and the Sisters, a Christian fairy tale. Kim is right here with me now to talk all about it. Kim, thank you for being on the show here with me tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's really exciting that you have Elaina and the Sisters out in stores now, so can you tell me all about it?
Well, it's a children's story about two little girls, actually based on my two daughters, and they get lost in the woods and a fairy helps them find their way home. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
What kinds of readers did you have in mind for this?
Well, I gravitate towards fantasy myself, so I think some adults might like it, but I'm thinking probably age 5 and up would probably be the right age group.
Kim, how did the idea for Elaina and the Sisters come about?
Well, actually, that's kind of a sad story. In 2016, my two daughters actually walked out of my life, and I'm still not connected to them. It's just the whole thing about going to college and finding themselves, and I'm a strong Christian. I think they wanted to, find out what life was all about. So unfortunately, we're not reconnected yet. But in 2016, I just felt like the Lord gave me this book. And I was bored one night on my phone. I was playing around with my phone and I started writing, and the story just unfolded from there. So actually, Elaina and the Sisters is chapter 1 of my novella, The Journey Home, which is being published now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That will be out later this year. Christian Faith Publishing is doing that one as well. But chapter 1 seemed to be a self-contained little story. And I'm actually an artist, really even more than a writer. I mean, I never saw myself as a writer, but I just really think the Lord gave me this story, and it's kind of a therapy for me. So that's how it happened.
Kim, I could tell you were an artist as well. I saw you illustrated this, and the cover is really striking. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's my thing. I love watercolors, I love nature, and I love fantasy. So I've kind of connected, and of course I love God most. So I've connected all those things into this story, and it's kind of like me figuring out what's going on, in the spiritual realm, where my daughters are at, what's happening. And so I imagine that the spiritual battle that's going on for their souls is happening, and that's the way I perceive it through this story. It was really nice to have the book finally in my hands, it's been a long process, but yeah, I think it's been good. And it helps me in my prayer life because it reminds me that, prayer is our weapon, and there is a spiritual battle going on up there. And so I'm just praying every day that my daughters will return, that they'll see this book and they'll see how much they're loved.
What advice would you have then for authors listening right now? They're just starting out, they haven't published, but they really want to.
See, again, I don't see myself as a writer, but I think it happened because, like I said, my story, it's something I was passionate about. And I would think that as people start putting their thoughts down on paper, it might evolve. You never know what it'll evolve into.
Absolutely. You mentioned that this was a long process. Kim, about how long did this take you, both the writing and the publishing?
Well, like I said, it's the first chapter of my novella. So it probably took about a month to write. I wrote on my phone at night, which is really weird. I had my husband and my dog sleeping next to me, and I would just get my phone out and write on my iPhone, and that's how I wrote the book. But the whole thing, the novella, took about a year. Of Elaina and the Sisters, it took about a month to write, and then I started on the illustrations, and of course that took, I'd say, about 18 months, the process of, I had to do the backgrounds, and then I would paint the little characters larger, and then I would Photoshop them in. That's how I did it.
You mentioned how good it was for you when you finally got to hold that book in your hands. What was that moment like for you? What were you feeling?
Oh, wow. It's just really a great accomplishment. And it's just so nice that now I can hand it to people. And, it's impressive. It looks really nice. It's well done. And I really appreciate Christian Faith Publishing, the job they've done on it. But, yeah, it's a culmination of a lot of things. It feels really good.
Kim, this is certainly a book I think a lot of my listeners are definitely going to want to check out. It's titled Elaina and the Sisters, a Christian fairy tale. It's written by Kim Michelle Gerber and is published by Christian Faith Publishing. Of course, you can find this down the street at your local bookshop or online at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes. Kim, it's been wonderful talking with you tonight. Thanks again for joining me on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you, Corey.